Welcome to Taboo. I'm your host, Dr. Keisha Powell. On this podcast, we will have courageous conversations based on how people use their pain and turn it into passion along with their walk with God. Good evening, listeners. I would like to welcome everyone again to another wonderful episode of Taboo. I'm your host, Dr. Keisha Powell, and today we have the estimable Miss Jasmine Lewis. I can't even begin to introduce her. I don't think it would be fair. She has to introduce herself. But can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in that wonderful listening social media land, that this young lady is just super awe-inspiring. You know, she has her own YouTube set up right now. She made this huge change in her life, and I know God is leading her to even much more. But we're very fortunate to have her here on Taboo. So without further ado, Jasmine, could you introduce yourself to the listeners? Could you tell them a little bit about who you are, and just tell us all those amazing things about yourself?
Yes, first and foremost, thank you for having me. So, hello everyone. My name is Jasmine Lewis. I am a licensed master social worker. I come from a traditional social work background. However, my career took a pivot, we'll say last year for the most part, and I transformed myself into that social worker entrepreneur. So I have a bachelor's in social work. I have a master's in social work from Howard University, where I minored in criminal justice. So I always knew that I wanted to combine both social work and criminal justice. I just didn't really know how. But for me, I don't really need to know the how. I just know that if I want to do something, the Most High will arrange my steps and my plans and my mindset so that way I can get it done. So that's my social work background. I became an entrepreneur in 2020. That's when I launched my wellness business called Natural Glow Essentials, which is a holistic wellness business that caters to all natural products. So all natural lip scrubs, all natural body butters, and just all natural everything, because we don't understand the importance of ingredients and what we're utilizing on our skin, which is our biggest organ on our body. A lot of people don't understand the connection between the mind, body, and soul, and just really understanding that you are whatever you put on your body. So on top of that, I am also the owner of Black Criminal Justice Social Workers, which is a Facebook group turned community for all social work students, professionals, and people that are interested in social work and criminal justice. So you can find us on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube at That Social Worker Entrepreneur. I'm also That Social Worker Entrepreneur on Instagram as well. So my background is very, very multifaceted. And as we get through the interview, I will fill you guys in on more.
Wow. Didn't I tell you she's phenomenal? First of all, I knew your social work background, and I knew of you being an entrepreneur with your newly minted YouTube channel, which I subscribe to. Please go ahead and subscribe to her channel. It's just super awesome and very inspiring. But I didn't know that you were also a creator of natural products.
Yes.
That is just amazing. What is the name of your product?
So the business name is called Natural Glow Essentials. So I have body butters, I have lip scrubs, I have body scrubs. And I really try to take my time with naming my products so that way they kind of stand out. So one of my body butters is called Jazzy Jazz with Body Butter. And that one is a jasmine scent because jasmine is a flower. I also have another body butter called Citrus Vibes, which we dropped this past summer, which is a mixture of grapefruit and lavender. And so I truly enjoy creating these products. They're all handmade with love. This has been a long, long journey. I started making the products, I would say, in like 2019, and it was kind of like trial and error. I'm passing out samples and they're coming out soupy. They're not perfect, but I'm still in the kitchen and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I will say that people love the product, and that's kind of what keeps me going, especially on the days where, you know, entrepreneurship can be highs and lows and ups and downs. But I always hear people say, I love your product. I love your product. And that really warms my heart because, again, your skin is your biggest organ and you are whatever you use on your skin.
That is so true. I realize as I have gotten older that skincare for me has become one of my top priorities. You know, in the past, I didn't care so much because everyone always says, oh, Keisha, you know, you have great skin. But now I'm paying attention to it. So I'll definitely look into your products because I like more natural products. Um, but finding the right fit for me, because I have such sensitive skin, is difficult. And this is something I think women of color always struggle with. So congratulations. Towards the end of our show, I'm going to ask you again just to, you know, give us where we can find it, where we can make purchases and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, Jasmine. When I would listen to her speak, I was always in awe. And to be honest, I felt inspired when we were in the group because knowing someone for such a young age and the jump that you made in your career, I think most of us can attest that 2020 was a difficult year for many people. For those who are out there who lost someone, lost their jobs, you know, don't we really sympathize with you, one. And number two, we know that God has taken you from out of not just your grief, but will continue to build you up as you go along. I remembered in 2020, I decided to leave my full-time position and start my own business because I had two elderly parents to take care of, and it was very difficult finding anyone to be with them. You know, and I know for many people, the change to start something new, especially during the pandemic, was difficult. So how did your journey begin, and when did you start to turn your pain into passion?
Well, I will say my journey into the criminal justice / social work system started when I was very, very young. I grew up as the only girl with two older brothers who were always involved in the criminal justice system from the time that they were teenagers. And so my brothers and I are 7 to 9 years apart. And so again, I was the baby. And so I would always accompany my mom at court, visiting jails, visiting federal prisons. And I'm like, what is this system? Like, what is this? I don't really know, but I'm kind of involved in it, even though I'm not the one that's incarcerated. And so moving forward, when I went to get my bachelor's in social work, I minored in criminal justice. And then when I went to Howard, I had a focus in criminal justice. And the number one reason why I went to Howard is because Howard was the closest school to me that had a criminal justice focus within their MSW program. So once I found Howard, I was like, okay, we're packing up. We don't know how, but we're going to Howard. And I really, really thank my mom. I give a lot of thanks to my mom because she took from her 401k for me to go to Howard. So I like to say my mom took from her future to fund my present at that time. And that is something that I could never, ever, ever, ever repay her for. And I truly do appreciate her. So after I graduated from Howard, I landed a case manager position, which was a community-based criminal justice agency. And I did that for a year before I moved on to my dream job, which was a social worker in the public defender's office. And I truly enjoyed working in the public defender's office. I worked at 2 different courthouses. However, I did experience a lot of racism and a lot of discrimination, and I experienced burnout to the point where my therapist would say, Jasmine, if I were to open up the dictionary and look for the definition of burnout, it would be you. And so that's when I really realized, like, okay, you want to provide this impact to this system still, but you are not going to be able to do it in a traditional way because the way that you're doing, you're literally burnt out. So that's when I really started to sit and kind of think, well, what skills can I transfer outside of a traditional social work setting? And a lot of our skills are transferable. We speak a lot in social work. I speak on my YouTube channel. I speak as a consultant. I speak as a speaker. A lot of the skills that I acquired throughout social work and traditional social work is what I utilize now with my Facebook group, Black Criminal Justice Social Workers, building myself up as a consultant. And so that is what kind of my journey has kind of looked like. So I resigned from my position in the public defender's office last September. So being able to do this interview this September really shows me how much I have grown and how much I have literally accomplished over the past year, because this year hasn't been exactly what I imagined, but it has been exactly what I needed, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, a whole lot of sense. And I applaud you for that, by the way, because I mean, I can't say that there are many people that I've met, believe it or not, who have attended Howard University. So kudos to you, my sister, number one. Number two, the fact that you took your pain off seeing your incarcerated brothers and you changed it, shaped it into whom you are today. But I also gather that your mom is a super strong woman.
Yes.
And so now I understand your strength as well and your conviction. And you also said something that's very profound about discrimination and burnout. It sounds like you had a lot of pain, but you actually culminated that and created not just the passion you have today, but the strong and entrepreneur and successful entrepreneur by that, which is just amazing. When I watch your YouTube channel, and just giving God thanks and praying for you, because I know what it feels like. Most times I'm often told, you're the only one. You're the only one. And I remember even on one job, I was called a token. I never understood the term because I'm originally from Jamaica. And so I've never heard that expression used before until I realized what it meant. And for me, I also experienced the burnout, the discrimination, wanting to make a change. And you never realize how broken you are. But this is what I like to tell the listeners, that your brokenness is what God uses to help build you up. You can't lose your faith. You can't lose your conviction. And you definitely have to know your purpose. So I want to ask you, Jasmine, would you change anything if you could, if you had a chance?
I don't think so. And I don't think so because even in the midst of the discrimination and the high caseload and the burnout and the trials and tribulations, I needed those things to be able to be where I am today. I remember at one point, I was so upset while working in the public defender's office, and I reached out to a mentor of mine who is involved with the ACLU. And I was just venting to him, and he said, you know, you were meant to be there, right? In that courthouse, experiencing what you're experiencing, hearing what you're hearing. And those words just really stuck with me until this day. So everything that I've been through, every room that I've stepped in, every rejection that I've received, everything has been done by the Most High. So with that being said, I don't think there's anything that I would honestly go back and change.
I agree with you. I mean, look at you. When I speak with you, I'm always humbled. And when I sincerely mean it, that just having you on the show is just not just humbling, but such an honor for me, because this is what Taboo is about. Introducing the world to incredible human beings like yourself, strong women, strong men who are so inspirational, who do not see their past as pain, but rather seeing their present as, I wouldn't want to say passion, but more or less that I'm a success because of this. And always remembering what God has not just promised, but what He's still instilling in you. What is next for you?
What is next for me? So I just launched on YouTube at That Social Worker Entrepreneur, and that is going great. So building up my YouTube, I'm building myself up still as a consultant. So putting myself out there, really trying to reach attorney offices per se, so I can offer my consultant services. A lot of the skills that I gained while in the public defender's office, I'm trying to transfer while working with attorneys' offices on my own. Doing more speaking engagements is definitely on the table for me. I don't know for sure, but I applied to speak at the Millennial Social Work Conference next year. So I haven't heard back yet. So if I get chosen, I will let you know, and so you can let your viewers know. So I'm excited about that. And building my wellness business up still. We're still actively growing. I have a pop-up shop coming up on October 5th for that. and just going with the flow. Honestly, a lot of times I kind of plan things out and it's like, that's fine, but sometimes you kind of just gotta go with the flow. So I think that's really what's on the table. I am actively studying for my LCSW as well. I'm taking that test in 2 months. So I'm excited for that. And what I want to do with that, I want to utilize my LCSW to obviously market myself more in terms of my own business. But I can't say I will never work again, right? Inflation is through the roof and I'm still young. So I wouldn't mind taking on like an assessment job, going into the jails, providing assessments, or again, providing different services to attorneys. So that's kind of what's next for me.
I'm listening to you and I keep seeing you also being able to do some professional development training for not just social workers, but everyone who works with those who are incarcerated in the system. And perhaps even when they leave the system, like what is available. Because unfortunately, some people are not necessarily in the system for the right reasons. And so when they come back, getting acclimatized to the real world and being seen as themselves and being individuals is tough. It's very difficult. But I see you doing it, and I will pray about the conference. I know how you're feeling about that. I mean, would you consider also doing stuff internationally?
Absolutely. There is
Yeah.
nothing off the table for me.
So, yes, because Jasmine, let me tell you something. The one thing I will say to everyone, to all the listeners out there, I never knew there were forensic social workers until I met you. And so I started to look into it. I'm like, holy cow, this is really serious. Like, not that I didn't think it was a serious, but the amount of things that you guys do, it's just absolutely incredible. And I even said FBI and Social Security and different state departments should look into hiring criminal or forensic social workers because you guys cover a wide gamut of things. And I hope any attorneys who are listening out there, please reach out to Miss Lewis because she is absolutely phenomenal and a good person to have as a resource. So, given everything that has happened, now the changes are happening in your life, what advice can you give our listeners to empower them into turning their pain into passion?
Advice, my first piece of advice would be you have to feel the pain, right? I know a lot of times, especially as Black women or just people in general, we kind of want to work through the pain. You want to work through it. You want to work through it, and that's fine. But you're going to have to feel it because if you keep working through it, that day when that feeling comes, it is going to be overwhelming. So don't only work through your pain, make sure that you are actually feeling it. Also understanding that there's nothing wrong with shifting or pivoting. I told you guys a lot of times I feel like I planned everything out. I planned it out to the T, to the time, to the day. And that is just not how life works. So being able to pivot and being able to shift. Also, honestly, just believing in yourself. Believing in yourself is key. And I know that sounds like something easy, but when your back is against the wall and people are asking you, why would you leave your state job making 80K a year? You have to have some type of belief in yourself along with the Most High, because that is when you are going to be tested the most. So definitely believe in yourself when it comes to turning your pain into passion. Yeah, I think those would be my top 3 pieces of advice. Don't be afraid to shift. Make sure you are feeling your pain and not just working through it. Again, because all of those 3 things together will definitely help you turn your pain into passion. And thinking outside of the box, guys. Think outside of the box. From the time we are in school, young children, we are taught to think like the majority. When I received my master's in social work, and I'm thankful, I appreciated Howard. It cost a pretty penny, but I appreciated Howard. However, when I got that master's degree, I thought that degree was supposed to be like the Willy Wonka ticket, like the golden ticket. I'm like, yeah, this is it. I did everything. I graduated with the 4.0. I did everything. And I'm like, okay, wait, so this isn't the golden ticket. So what am I going to do? Am I going to cry and be upset? Or are you going to try to figure out how are you still going to get to the life that you imagine? So think outside of the box. Please think outside of the box. Don't feel like you have to box yourself in or do everything the traditional way, because it is 2024. And if you cannot think outside of the box, you are really doing yourself a disservice, because that is what is going to set you aside from everyone else.
That's great advice. You're right. A lot of people I've seen over the years, it's not that they don't want to make the change. They're crippling themselves with one, with fear. Two, there's so much now on social media when you watch these reels with these fake voices and they're saying different things. Some of them are so ridiculous. I'm like, bypass, bypass, bypass. But to be honest, you also said something that was very profound about learning to believe in yourself. And I've had to say to some of my patients that the first step in believing yourself is to forgive yourself. I think anyone who has to stand, and I'm saying this because I want the listeners out there to try it. Stand in front of a mirror and say, I forgive you. Forgive yourself. It is the most difficult thing to stand up in front of a mirror and say, I forgive you. And you start to tell yourself, what are the things that you forgive yourself for? Because people will tell you things. And I've seen this a lot too, especially in younger people and even older people too, who have suicidal ideations because they feel hopeless. And unfortunately, some of the churches do not necessarily feed into helping people spiritually. It's more financially than spiritually. And we have to be careful of what we're doing. I commend you for what you are doing. I really commend you for not walking away from the social work piece of it, because we also know that mental health is not necessarily identified in communities of color because of culture and other aspects of it that affects us, but it's there. It's there, and it's very prevalent. And this is one of the reasons Taboo was created, so that people have a way of not just listening to what's happening, but also be able to say, you know what, when I listen to it, this is how I felt, and to be able to connect them with resources such as yourself. I also wanted to ask you to talk a little bit more about your YouTube channel, like what prompted you to start your channel?
Yes, so what prompted me to start my YouTube channel is, for one, people have been telling me for years, I'm a talker. I've always been a talker. I've grown as a talker over the years and really poured into myself more in that area. But people have been telling me for years, Jasmine, you should start a YouTube channel. You should start a YouTube channel. And I'm just like in my head a lot, no, not right now. Over a year ago, I posted a TikTok about being a criminal justice social worker. And that TikTok to this day has about 30,000 views, 200 comments. And before that TikTok, I wasn't really talking about the social work side of me. It wasn't that I was hiding it. I just wasn't really talking about it. And when I'm like, wait, people are interested in this. They want to know more. They don't know about forensic social work. And from that moment on, I never stopped talking about the social work side of me. And so ultimately, I built a following over the years. So now when I created my YouTube, it's kind of like I'm just bringing the people to YouTube. My YouTube channel is not just about social work and entrepreneurship, but it's also about me as a person, because I'm just so multifaceted. So it's about me still being in my 20s. It's about me being single. It's about dating. It's about my lock journey. And it's still also about social work and entrepreneurship. And I wanted to start my YouTube because I am so multifaceted. It's difficult for me to try to pick and choose. I can't pick and choose. I am who I am, and that's what makes me me. And so being able to bring all of those parts of me is why I also went to YouTube to kind of organize myself. Because as you guys can hear, I have a lot of things going on, but they all are very close and near to my heart.
So please go on the YouTube channel and subscribe and share and learn, because Jasmine is a force to be reckoned with. First of all, I'm telling you, I can't wait for the day when you say to me, hey, guess what? I went to the conference and it was this and this happened. I love the fact that you take everything with such grace because we do live in a world now where I think there's so much entitlement, unfortunately. But I caution everyone, and as I've always encouraged, prayer is a mighty source of power. You know, you have to learn to stand in your purpose. You have to learn to accept your praise because the enemy always tries to destroy that. Jasmine, I wish for you nothing but success and that God will continue to increase, enhance, empower you. Continue to be the light that this world needs. We need more Jasmines. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more women, very strong women like you. And I can't wait to see what your next chapter will bring.
Thank you so much. I've been so excited to do this interview. So thank you again. And for everyone, I am that social worker entrepreneur on all platforms on YouTube. And so you can find me, connect with me. My wellness business is Natural Glow Essentials. Our website is naturalglowessentials.square.site. If you get to my YouTube channel or wherever else you find me, you're probably going to see Natural Glow Essentials there too. Everything is kind of connected. So again, thank you all. I'm so honored and so thankful to be a part.
Thank you. Thank you. As usual, everyone, we want you to know that you're not alone. This has been your host, Dr. Keisha Powell. And until next time, remember, you are loved. Thanks again for joining us on Taboo. Tune in next week for another invigorating episode when we speak with another expert. Turn their pain into passion. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Keisha Powell. Contact us at www.powelltherapysolutions.com or join us on Facebook at Taboo From Pain to Passion. Remember, you're loved.